Hello, Frank here for another episode of Frank's Race Review. Today we're going to discuss the Straight Talk Wireless 500 at Phoenix Raceway on March 8th, 2026. My pre-race and predictions for this race was we were going to have more tire issues, more so than what we had last fall due to the 80 more horsepower that these cars will have this time around. And ultimately, that's what happened. First stage went caution-free. Second and third stage had several cautions. I think we ended up with 12 total, tying the track record. And my pre-race winner was going to be Ryan Blaney, who ultimately won the race. So for first time a Toyota has lost a race, and first time that Tyler Reddick has lost a race this year. So good, Ryan Blaney. That's good. He's been strong this year. It wasn't for without issues, as we're going to break down the notable topics during this race. We had a couple cars go to the back. I can't remember the names right now, but it was due to unapproved adjustments. Those two drivers. William Byron had a cracked rotor, which was deemed a safety issue, so NASCAR allowed them to change it and keep their starting position. Kyle Larson started second, but he fell out of the top 10 very quickly. He had an ill-handling race car, was ultimately not happy with it, so they had to make some big changes to get him back into the race. One time, Penske was running 1-2-3 with Joe Logano leading the charge. Ryan Blaney had the fastest car, one of the fastest cars all race long. Definitely in stage one, he really showed it. Lap 48 was the first lead change, when Joe Logano was passed by Ryan Blaney for the lead. And that's about the time when Austin Cindric started falling back. Not far, but he started slipping a little bit. Your stage one winner was Ryan Blaney. Basically, after he took the lead, he ran away with it. Was unopposed for the rest of the stage. Lap 93, after they started the green flag for the second stage, was our first tire failure. It was Kyle Busch who had a flat tire and hit the wall. Didn't cause a caution. But a lap later, Shane Van Gisbergen spun out with a flat tire, causing the caution, which saving Kyle Busch from going multiple laps down. Only issue during the pit stops at this time was Ryan Blaney had to go to the back after repitting for a loose wheel. Better to get it fixed instead of on the track when it comes off. Then they went to green. On lap 103, we had a four-car crash involving Daniel Suarez, Chase Elliott, Ryan Preece, and Josh Berry. No major damage, and everyone was able to continue on in the race. I think Daniel Suarez got hit and spun and run up the track collecting these cars. At this point, Joe Logano it became apparent that he had a short run car. And the longer a run went, he started fading a little bit. Our next caution was at lap 132 when Chase Briscoe suffered a flat tire and slammed the wall pretty good, taking his car out of the race for the day. Sucks for him because he's been fast all season long, but he's had one issue or another preventing him from finishing where he was ultimately running, like last week with the transaxle braking, causing him to finish last, and then today had a flat tire, taking him out of the race, causing him to finish last again. After that, Ryan Blaney, during those pit stops, had another loose wheel, stopped in Joe Logano's pit to fix it, and then they went to green at lap 157, and we had another flat. Noah Gragson actually exploded a rotor, which caused his tire to go flat, causing William Byron, Connor Zilisch, and Michael McDowell also suffer flat tires at that point. At first I was like, what is going on? Is this like the magical lap that everyone's going to have problems? But ultimately, it's because when Noah Gragson hit the wall, it was because he exploded a rotor, causing all kinds of debris. And also took out Cole Custer with a part of the rotor going into the radiator, taking him out of the event. That was about all the excitement as far as crashes go for Stage 2. Your Stage 2 winner was Christopher Bell. This is when he really showed how tough he was in this race, which he's won this race, I think, the spring race back-to-back years. So it was not a surprise to see him running well. He actually ultimately led the most laps with 176 total laps led. By far the most laps led of the race. Denny Hamlin had some issues while pitting. Fell back, had a slow stop. That seemed to be the thing in pit road, like drivers having issues or loose wheels or flat tires. So it's just one thing after another in this race. They go green about lap 210. Ryan Preece got hit by Connor Zilisch, who spun out with a flat tire. No cars went out in that wreck. Then our lap 217, which was probably was our hardest hit crash of the day, and probably our second biggest crash of the race, happened when Joey Logano hit Ross Chastain after the restart, causing him to go up the track and collecting Austin Cindric, Anthony Alfredo, taking both of those cars out of the race with hard hits. Austin Cindric got hit so hard, the front of his car went up in the air for momentarily until it came back down. That could have been real bad if they were close to the wall and he was up in the air. It would have went up in the catch fence, causing a red flag in this race to fix it, obviously. Ross Chastain and Joey Logano were also involved, but they were able to continue. But Joey Logano stayed on the lead lap, but Ross Chastain ended up 26 laps down, but ultimately finished the race, which gave him big points because a lot of drivers went out in this race. Who would have thought that a little old Phoenix race ended up having several cars go out? I think it was like 9 cars went out of the race. It was a race of survival a little bit there. And Kyle Busch suffered his second flat tire of the race, which put him a couple laps down. Ultimately came back because of all the cautions, because nobody stayed a lap down other than Ross Chastain. Lap 246, SVG spun again, triggering another caution. Chris Buescher was too fast on pit road during those pit stops. And then we went back to green, lap 254, which is our biggest crash of the day. A 7-car crash when A.J. Allmendinger got pinched by Joey Logano moving up the track, causing Joey Logano to crash into Josh Berry and others, taking both Joey Logano and Josh Berry out of the race, with Joey Logano suffering the hardest hit of that wreck. Then Connor Zilisch had another flat tire. I think this at lap 282. I think this ultimately took him out of the race due to tires, because an official report on Racing Reference says suspension, but it could also be out of tires, considering how many tire failures he suffered in this race. Austin Hill also suffered a flat tire 4 laps later, and then 2 laps later the caution flew after Austin Dillon suffered a flat spinning out. Ultimately, our last caution was at 294. We had a short little run to the finish. Ryan Blaney with the strategy of the race, taking 2 tires to leapfrog Christopher Bell, who was dominating the race. And Christopher Bell did what Denny Hamlin did last fall, taking 4 tires, and several drivers took 2, causing him to be buried in a field, which gave Ryan Blaney just enough time to take the lead and pull out just far enough with those 2 tires with the amount of laps left to win. So congratulations to Ryan Blaney, who was my pre-race prediction, my first correct one of the year. So that's good for them. That's going to be a good momentum boost. And we're going to go move on to the top finishers. According to Racing Reference, Ryan Blaney, who won the race. Christopher Bell got a second. Then Kyle Larson, after the ill-handling car he had to start, ended up finishing third. Then you had Ty Gibbs, who, shout out to Ty Gibbs. He actually showed up in this race and actually was strong all race long. He was in the top 10 by all race long. So that's a good sign for that team. Maybe they're finally going to turn around and actually do some good for that team now. Then Denny Hamlin getting his first top 5, and I think it's his first top 10 of the season after a rough start he had. Then Bubba Wallace continuing to be strong, finishes 6th or 7th. And then you had Tyler Reddick, his worst finish of the season. I think they're washed up. Replace him now, but he finishes 8th place. Still, I think he's the only driver to finish top 10 in all 4 races. I'm not sure about Ryan Blaney, but I know he is, at least Tyler Reddick's one of them. I think Bubba might be the other. Then Michael McDowell and Eric Jones. That's your top 10. Another strong run for Shane Van Gisbergen, who finishes 11th. After all the 2 tire failures that they had, Kyle Busch finished 17th. And according to Racing Reference, your point standings, Tyler Reddick still has a commanding lead of 69 points. Bubba Wallace is now third with 72 back, and right with Ryan Blaney leapfrogging him with his win. And second, fourth is Chase Elliott. After problems he had, he still manages to stay in the top 5. Fifth is Chris Buescher. Then you had Shane Gisbergen in 6th, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, Michael McDowell, AJ Allmendinger, Joe Logano, Kyle Larson, Ty Gibbs, Carson Hocevar, Danny Suarez, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Preece, Zane Smith, Kyle Busch, rounding out your top 20. That is it's starting to shuffle. Now we're in the next several races are going to be races featured in the chase and mile and a halves and whatnot. So this is when the rubber meets the road. This is when the pretenders start to slide and the real contenders start to show. And at this point, unless he has a real big slump, I think Tyler Reddick's probably going to remain top 2 or 3 in the point standings for all regular season long. Comment below what you thought of the race. I give it a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I think a 7 out of 10. It was a good race. Little caution, a little crash fest, but it was a good race. Comment below what you thought, what you give it. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.